Thank you for staying and listening to the last part of our workshop today, which is on fostering and creating masajid that are not only legally sound and healthy in terms of their governance, but have a healthy culture, have a culture that invites people in, that makes people want to be a part of your community, a place where people feel they belong. And that's the project we worked on for the past 2 years at the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding, for which I am Director of Research. Assalamu alaikum, my name is Dalia Mogahid, and I'm so happy to be here with you this afternoon. So very quickly to introduce our think tank for any of you who have not heard of it, who are not familiar. ISPU conducts objective, solution-seeking research that empowers American Muslims to develop their community and fully contribute to democracy and pluralism in the United States. And we do that by making impact in 3 areas: social policy, public policy, and thought leadership. In the first, we help the American Muslim community develop. In the second, we help make sure American Muslims can fully contribute to society. And in the final one, we provide a platform for innovation and strategic thinking. And we do that by doing 3 things. We do the research, rigorous academic research at the gold standard in the industry. But we don't stop at research. We also educate the public, and we enable practitioners to make better decisions with better research. So this project that I'm so excited to share with you today is one that ISPU took on several years ago, and really it was in response to a need, a growing need of young people, of women, of converts, of a lot of other people who felt that their masajid were not places that they felt comfortable. Their masajid were not places they felt they belonged. That there was this growing movement of, quote, the unmosqued. And it wasn't that people didn't care about their faith. It wasn't that they just simply weren't interested in being a part of a mosque. It was different. As they felt they didn't have access. They felt that they didn't belong. So why do mosques matter? Why does it matter for people, for us to care about, sitting here together and thinking about how to bring people back to the mosques? Well, mosques are good for society. Mosques are actually good for America, contrary to what you may have heard on cable TV. Mosques make people better citizens. So frequent mosque attendance is linked to more volunteerism. People are actually working together to solve problems in their communities if they go to a mosque more frequently. These 2 things are linked. Better mental health outcomes, less anger and less sadness is linked to going to a mosque more frequently. And finally, higher civic engagement. People who attend a mosque once a week or more are more likely to vote and to be involved in their democratic systems. And yet, mosques often are alienating to many people, many parts of our community, including women, converts, and young people. So the challenges, there are all these benefits, aside from the obvious spiritual benefits of going to a mosque. What are the challenges? Many young adults, women, and converts feel alienated from mosques. Mosque leaders also complain about the lack of volunteerism, the lack of giving back, and the lack of commitment of people who attend the mosque. And finally, mosque attendees complain about the lack of unity, the lack of a sense of belonging. So, what makes mosques welcoming? When you have a welcoming mosque, what happens? Why should you care as a mosque leader, as a board member, as an imam? Why should you want your mosque to be welcoming? What do you gain from that? Well, at least these things happen. Why make your mosque welcoming? Because it increases volunteers. because it sustains your donors, because it increases cleanliness. People actually clean up after themselves. It increases spiritual engagement. It promotes stronger, more vibrant communities. It builds hubs for hope. It makes the mosque a place that is a service to society. It provides sanctuaries of support in what many people feel today is a hostile political and social environment. And it grows the next generation of Muslim Americans. So how did we find answers? We want to develop a vision for the prophetic mosque as a guide and a goal, and we want to do good research. So this project, the overview, the overall goal of reimagining Muslim spaces was to produce research-driven recommendations for mosques that are both welcoming and a hub for hope, a place that's inclusive and engaging, and a place that is a source of service to the community. And we're only going to be talking about the first goal in this specific presentation, but if you're interested in the second on service-oriented mosques, please visit our website at ispu.org/RMS, where you can read about that part of the project. Now, we accomplished this in the following ways. First, we did an extensive literature review. We looked at what other faith communities were doing in their congregations to make their places of worship more engaging to really the same demographics that we were looking at. We did focus groups across the country of Muslims, from diverse backgrounds, including mosque leaders. We did an analysis of every available poll of American Muslims. We also did one-on-one interviews that were in depth of mosque leaders and mosque attendees. And we got advice from a diverse task force of experts. So the outcome of that research is a report called Creating a Welcoming, Inclusive, Dynamic Mosque. And you can grab the executive summary of that report outside, and you can read the whole report on our website. We also created case studies on communities that had created these service projects within their mosque to create a mosque that serves humanity as a whole. So you can find out real life, this isn't theory now, real life situations of communities who built a job training center or a health clinic. And you can find out their successes as well as their struggles and learn from that experience. We also have a community toolkit on our website and links to other resources. And you can get all of that at ispu.org/RMS. And these are our case studies, as I mentioned, for a service-oriented mosque. This was our research team. Dr. Ihsan Begbi, who's really one of the leading scholars on mosques in America, was our primary investigator. And we had a number of other researchers, and I was the director of research overseeing the project. We also had some wonderful, well-known names on our task force. People like Hazem Bata, who was the Secretary General of ISNA, Hind Mekki, who has been writing extensively on women and mosques, and Sarah Saeed, who has also done the same. Maryam Iskandari, one of the leading architects of mosque design in America, and others. So, project findings. What did we discover by doing all of this research? Well, first, let's talk about who this community is. Let's just start by laying out some facts. American Muslims are by far the youngest community in America, the youngest faith community. Almost a quarter of American Muslims are between the ages of 18 and 24. The median age for American Muslims is a full 25 years younger than the average median age. So a very young community. Now, young people in the general public are less likely than their elders to attend a religious service once a week. They're also less likely than their elders to say religion's important. So this issue of religious communities losing their young people is not unique to Muslims. But there is something different about the Muslim community. Young Muslims are also less likely than their elders to attend a mosque or a religious service once a week. But what is different about young people in the Muslim community is they're just as likely to say religion's important. So their lack of attendance, or the fact that they're going less frequently than their elders, is not because they value their faith any less. There is something else going on. So unlike their age peers or their generational peers in other faith communities, Muslim young people value their faith very highly. I mean, if you compare 18 to 29-year-olds in the general public, where 56% say that their faith is important, and Muslim young people in the same age group, where 91% say their faith is important. Their faith is there, but there is something missing in their engagement with the mosque. Muslims are also by far the most ethnically and racially diverse faith community in America. We're the only faith community with no majority race. Every other faith community is predominantly white, as you can see, but Muslims are really a mix where at least a quarter of us identify as black, 24% identify as white, 18% identify as Asian, and 18% as Arab. And then we have 7% that just call themselves or identify as mixed race, and then 5% who identify as Hispanic. And these numbers, vary depending on the poll, but what we know is that we have no majority race. There is not one race that can say they are the majority. With this kind of diversity is opportunity. It can also create tension, and I think it's important to understand that this project is not, or what my presentation today will not look at inclusivity of race. It's an incredibly important part of the conversation. It's not a part of this presentation, but we do have a report on getting race right in our communities and in our mosques on our website, and I encourage you to look at that. Another way we're diverse, besides the fact that we're racially diverse and we're also very young, is that half the community was born outside the United States and half was born inside the United States. So there's diversity in immigrant status as well. There's sort of different opinions on Muslims' economic base. And what we actually found out is that Muslims were the most likely faith community in America to report low income. So more than a third of our community has a household that is living below the poverty line. We also have a lot of rich Muslims, so there is incredible economic disparity in our community. And it's interesting, this economic disparity lines up, like the rest of America, with our racial diversity. It's a function of being in America that racial diversity is reflected in economic disparity as well. So with all of this diversity that we have been blessed with, what does that mean when we are trying to create a mosque, a space that is welcoming of all? Fostering a welcoming environment for everyone, okay? So we started with sort of looking at the institution as a whole and not one specific group or another. So focus group participants agreed that the most attractive aspect of a masjid for them is the sense that they are welcomed. To develop a sense of community and a sense of belonging, you must develop a sense that people are welcomed. So the way we conducted our focus groups was a little unique. We didn't ask people to tell us the problems in their mosque. We probably would have been there, all day. People really have a lot of stories to share. Instead, we did something very different. We asked them to share their most positive experience. What did the most positive experience in a mosque look like? What did it smell like? What did it sound like? And then we worked to help understand what about those experiences we could replicate. How do we replicate, grow, and amplify that experience so it happens more often? It's called appreciative inquiry. It's a different way to transform a system. Problem solving looks at the problem and digs down into it. Appreciative inquiry looks at the solutions and tries to multiply them. It's just a different way to approach it. So when we asked about this positive experience, what we heard over and over and over is that positive experiences in mosques means that a person feels welcomed. And so some direct quotes from some of our respondents included this. Automatically, I was welcomed. The smiles, the warmth, the salams, and just the sense of it doesn't matter if you're new or you're not one of us, you are one of us because you are here. The thing I most love about my mosque is the sense of generosity and hospitality, the sense of belonging. And when you look at the prophetic model, it perfectly reflects this sentiment. The Prophet ﷺ said, "You will not enter paradise until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another, so spread salam among yourselves." So I'm going to go through just one or two of our recommendations. The report has dozens, literally, in every category. We just don't have time to go through all of them. So I'm going to focus on this one. And these are simple things, most of them don't even cost anything, that you can implement very easily in your communities. So foster a welcoming environment, you can form a welcoming committee. And all it would do is actually greet people, assist them. Everyone that enters would actually be greeted and asked if they need anything. You would have this same welcoming committee strike up conversations afterwards to get people to get to know each other. Find out people's interests and expertise. Have them fill out information cards so you can align them with volunteer opportunities. And encourage involvement in events and committees. Another concrete recommendation for developing a culture for everyone to feel welcomed is to foster a culture where people say salam to people praying next to them, whether they know them or not. Saying salam to one another after Jum'ah, even when ethnic groups form, go around and say salam to everyone. When a new person comes in, smile and greet them. And this is really where leadership comes in to offer khutbahs on being welcoming, and leadership must set an example for this.